utilize it. Thank you so much, Stefan. Ways that you might be able to use AI to help you generate those communications, make those communications a little bit more streamlined. I know that there have been numbers of times where each of us have been in our roles, sending out an email, we double check it, proofread it, think that it's clear, only for a ton of questions to come back. So hopefully AI can help us kind of alleviate one of those pain points. So for our first couple minutes together, I'd like you to think silently about these 3 questions just for a moment. And those questions are there on the screen. So how is the majority of your day organized? What are the tasks that are most time consuming to you? And are there specific tech tools that you are using on a regular basis? Okay, so spoiler alert, if you aren't already aware, so many of our tech tools have started incorporating AI into them. So you might see this where auto complete for as you're writing sentences is filling in as you're working in email. If you haven't started using AI tools, it's a great time to start doing so and creating some efficiencies for yourself. So I just want to mention we're going to come back to these 3 questions at the end of our session. So jot down some notes or ideas as we go through the next set of slides. So for today, we're going to focus kind of on 4 specific tech tools. So as our keynotes mentioned, Chat GPT is probably the technology in AI that we're all familiar with, or at least have heard something about. We're also going to focus on AI that allows us to do meeting summarization. So I'm not sure if in the main session you saw someone actually had a summarization tool turned on called Otter AI, which is super awesome to see. Then we are going to talk a little bit about PopAI and wrap up with Scribe. Some of you guys may have known it as Scribe How. Okay, so to get started, we're going to talk a little bit about Chat GPT, and then I'm going to ask my colleague Stefan to go ahead and demo that. So again, Chat GPT is the AI tool that we're probably most familiar with. It came out in November 2022, and since then, AI has just grown exponentially at lightning speed. Things that ChatGPT does particularly well is being able to take text, drop it into the chat feature, and it will summarize that text for you. It's really great if you have drafted an email and you want to get some feedback, like make this a little bit more friendly. I need this to sound a little bit more professional, or I want to gear this toward a different audience. Let's say I want to gear this toward my teachers as opposed to my parents. ChatGPT is super awesome for allowing you to do that. So as Stefan previews ChatGPT, go ahead and put in any questions, noticing, wonderings in chat, and I will go ahead and mute.
Yeah, thanks, Vanessa. So I get to play around with you is kind of what we're doing. So Vanessa and I are going to kind of kick things back and forth here a little bit. And our plan is to give you a couple of tools, but then show you them in action. And so I'll move relatively quickly because it's not necessarily going to be a step-by-step, but a, hey, look at what this thing can do, right? And we'll give you a little bit of a chance to play around with that, ask some questions, and do some stuff. So I was, as Vanessa was talking, was just briefly looking at some of the breakout rooms and just reminding myself of what some of that content was. And so I was thinking there's a lot of people in the like beginning AI first steps. And because you're not there, I'm not going to assume that you don't need that, but we are going to move we're going to dive into right into ChatGPT. So I'm not going to show you how to get there. I'm just going to show you how to use it. But if you would like information on how to use ChatGPT or get into ChatGPT, just let us know. because we can help you with that as well. So as Vanessa said, it is really, really good at summarizing. And one of my favorite things to tell teachers or administrators or really anybody that I'm working with AI is that you kind of don't really need to pay for any of these other extra AI tools if you know how to leverage Chat GPT effectively. A lot, with a few exceptions, a lot of those tools out there are just repackaging a lot of the functionality of Chat GPT. So the exciting thing for me is it's really at this point only limited by our creativity. The more creative we can get, the closer we are to breaking it. So we have a couple of things prepped here for you. We grabbed this. I'm not sure if everybody saw this or anybody saw this. This was Chris Rakedahl's announcement a couple weeks ago. This was pretty hot off the press when we were planning this session. But this is a long one, right? Like this is so it's got a lot going on here. One of the things that we like to do is if we simply copy and paste, and I'm now realizing that I've done this in PDF format, so you can see this live and in person. If I copy and paste that text in here, this is just in the free version of Chat GPT, and I tell it, this is an email from OSPI Superintendent Chris Rakedahl, and his name's right there. So I'm gonna misspell it anyways. Good job, Stefan. Summarize this into the 5 most important points for me as an instructional coach, or I should say as a school administrator, which I am not, for the record. So then down here, if I just scroll down just that quick, it's going to spit out a pretty short little summary of this for me, which is super nice. The other thing, since Vanessa mentioned it, and we haven't played around with this, but I'm going to do it live here. Rewrite the email as if it was written by a 5th grader. That's fun. Now, it'd be really funny if it spit out the exact same thing. We'd have to go tell Chris Rakedahl that and be like, hey, man, I'm just kidding. He's not in here, is he? Okay. One of the ways that you can take a lot of this information and you can rephrase this, or one of the ways you can use ChatGPT is to take this information that can be pretty dense and then rephrase it. The other piece that has a ton of potential is translation. So as with anything, you definitely want to vet this through a human being, which is going to be a recurring theme of what we're doing. But I am not a Spanish speaker myself, but I have played around with this with the Spanish speaking population at our ESD, and they do a lot of work with the Spanish speaking community, and they have been incredibly impressed with ChatGPT's ability to translate into a multitude of other languages. So just thinking about some of those time-saving things and some places to go, we know that translation tends to be as much art as it is actual science, just because those things don't always translate directly. And just thinking about how we can give our personnel and our staff a different place to begin with. The other thing, which we're not going to get super far into, but I did mention because I want to kick this back to Vanessa to move us on to the next tool. But the other thing that just so that you are aware of, as you start using ChatGPT more, know that the 3.5 is the free version. So you can get on this, you can use it for free. It's awesome. Everything we just did was completely and totally free. If you are looking for a little bit more functionality, you can upgrade to ChatGPT 4, which is about $20 a month. And along with that, you get a bunch of other like functionality here. In addition to being able to create your own GPTs. And what that means is you can customize this to essentially become a personal assistant. You can give this some information and say, you are an expert in Spanish translation. You are a school board member in XYZ county. You are, or school district. You are, and so you can train this and then constantly tweak this to be able to give you feedback and to be able to work with you and make your life just that much easier. So just know that that functionality is built in there as well. just be thinking about different ways you can use this and then potentially train that and upskill that for yourself. All right, Vanessa, I definitely went over time, but do you want to tell people what we are working with next?
Yes, thank you so much, Stefan. I think all of that is helpful. Just know that like customizing ChatGPT is definitely like a level 2. So if you're interested in going and exploring ChatGPT, you do not have to start out at that expert level. So for our next AI tool, we wanted to really talk about features and functionality of tools that allow you to summarize meetings. So when we were planning for this session, we were thinking about, how often are we, and you as an administrator, in meetings, and then part of the requirement is to kind of summarize what happened in that meeting and then share it with various audiences. So, some of those tasks where you have to, create the content and then disperse that out to the various audiences can take up to 62% of your workday. So there are a couple tools. Stefan mentioned Chat GPT, but Zoom AI Companion and another tech tool called Otter AI are available, and they can work closely with Zoom. Otter AI actually works with Google Meets, and it works with Microsoft Teams. But the super awesome part of those two tech tools is that if the settings are enabled, you can go into a meeting late and you can say, how many times was my name mentioned? Or, help me catch up in this particular meeting. But it also can provide a super accurate summary post-meeting that then you can go in, you can add some highlights, take out some pieces, and really customize that, and then get that out super quick. So again, these are just really helpful tools that we're on the cusp of that can be so beneficial to day-to-day practices.
Yeah, so we talked about ChatGPT and its use for summarization, right? We did that a little bit already. One of the things that I did, and without doing it again, is I actually took, these are our notes for planning this session in particular, like the whole event, and I copy and pasted them and I put them into ChatGPT, and I said, summarize this for me. Let's say essentially the same prompt, summarize this for me and give me the 10 most important parts. And then if I scroll down here and I look at this, it essentially just gave us a readout of what we're doing here over the course of this hour and a half. So super nice to be able to, I mean, it is like a 7 or 8 page document and did a really nice job summarizing that. So breaking out of that Chat GPT piece a little bit, some of these things are, oops, that's on the wrong slide. Some of these things are going to be, well, this one specifically, let's start here because it may be a little niche. Because if you're not using Zoom a whole ton, actually, let's get the disclaimers out of the way first. If you're not using Zoom a whole ton, then a Zoom AI companion may or may not be super helpful for you. And it has to be turned on at a certain level of your tech department. So after seeing what this thing can do, and it's pretty awesome, be thinking about how to communicate with your tech teams to see if this is something you have access to. So the Zoom AI Companion is something you can turn on in your settings in Zoom, and it has a couple different functionalities in there, but we're going to show you two. The first of which is, let me grab this here, the AI Companion chatbot. So we tested this out, and I'll have Kim put that in the chat there for you if you could. We tested this out just what was like an hour ago, hour and a half ago, where Vanessa and Kim started a meeting without me. I showed up a little bit late, and then I clicked on the AI Companion, which you can't see if I share my screen because it's on Zoom, but there's a little button down there next to like the chat box where I can click on AI Companion, and then I could ask it some questions. Well, I could ask it anything, kind of like Chat GPT, but it gave me a couple of prompts, and the first prompt there was to catch me up. And so I was the only one that was able to see this. And then I read it out to Vanessa and Kim's face was priceless because it was one of these. And I think her exact words were, "It's a little scary." Yes, it is. This was the exact I mean, I just copy and pasted from the chat there. So I came in about 10 minutes late and it gave me a summary of what they had been talking about. And then some of the other prompts that it gave me, I didn't end up putting in anything of my own. I just used the recommended ones there. It asked, was my name mentioned, right? So like, hey, I missed 10 minutes of this meeting. Were they talking about me? And if so, is that important? And then any action items that maybe had taken place, and then a summary of the topics that were discussed. So this was very, very little work on Vanessa's part. She just turned on the AI companion. When I got in there, I had the opportunity or the option just to interact with this thing, because there's nothing worse than when someone shows up late to a meeting and says, what did I miss? Right. And so this will allow them to, you can automate that out of that process a little bit, which is super nice. So come in and get a little informed. Now, the other piece, and this one has been a game changer for me because I don't have the world's best memory, but whenever I have a meeting with some of my colleagues, that we turn on that AI companion and it'll automatically create a summary for me, and that will be saved in my Zoom and it'll be automatically emailed to me. So this is a meeting that I had way back. Pete Phillips, that's him right here. He's our tech director here at the ESD. He's actually leading another breakout session right now. And this is a meeting I had with my regional math coordinator, regional science coordinator, and Pete, where we were talking about this conference where we're supporting instructional coaches in our region. And so it breaks, I did nothing. Again, this is automatically here for me. It breaks down our meeting based off of these different topics, and it gives a little bitty summary of what we talked about in each of those sections. This was about a 60-minute meeting that we were all together. And so it just breaks those things up there. Super nice, not perfect. And that's that recurring theme here. You do have the option to edit these. You can share these with other people. But this is a nice way to just get you to a different starting point, increase some of that efficiency. I know that when I was a teacher, or oftentimes our meetings end up the first 10 to 15, 20 minutes are like a recap of what we did last time. This can help you automate and speed up that process a little bit. So super nice and all built there within Zoom. You might have noticed that Vanessa mentioned this in the chat. Someone put this in here. Was it one of you? Give me like a thumbs up if that's, I saw the name, but it could be a different, okay. I'm not sure if anybody clicked on it, but I was going to show you how this works, but I figured this would be much better. The fact that someone is actually using this, amazing. So this, if you go and click on that link, now it might say that like you need to request access for it, because I had it and I could see it automatically updating. And then it said you need to request access. Whoever started this, I'm very thankful because I requested access and they gave me access. So this is Otter AI, which is free to a point. You can purchase essentially more functionality and more uses of this. But the free version will link up with Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, Zoom. And then you saw that little message in there giving notification that or notice that it was being used. And then it creates a real-time transcript of what's happening in the Zoom. And then it also captures like the screenshots of things that are being shared. So the person who started this did nothing. They just turned this on and it's automatically updating here. They might have turned it off because it stopped about 6 or 7 minutes in, I noticed, but super, super helpful. And so like, I know when we have our ed tech meetings, Kim is typically our note taker, not because she loves it, but she's very good at it. And most people hate that job. And this, again, oh, can you hear that? No, because I'm not sharing my sound. Oh, it's very confusing. Sorry. I just started hearing Jessica Vadris talk because here's a functionality I just discovered. If you click on that portion of the text, it replays the audio from that Zoom meeting. That was mind-blowing. Here, I can new share sound.
AI as individuals and organizations. So all of your feedback from our session in October went to inform. We heard you saying we want some practical tools and we want to think about
the question is, how do I pause that?
Oh, down here.
That's awesome. Okay, I'm really glad that just happened and I accidentally clicked on that, but you can see it follows along here and it just picks up right where I click. Super nice, right?
And Stefan, I just want to chime in really quickly and say it takes the role of note taker and makes the note taker more of a fact checker, right? Like you don't have to go through and type all of this out. It's more now of looking at what the AI generates. And when you start putting together and layering these AI tools, now you can see that this is meeting an accessibility need, right? Because the screen reader was following along. Then you could translate the meeting notes into other languages. So it's really not about like one tool can do one thing. It's more about how are you going to leverage all of these tools together? And I see Kimberly put in the chat, it will also attend meetings on your calendar, even if you don't attend. Wow, good stuff.
Thanks for sharing, Kim and Kimberly. And Stefan, I so appreciate you demoing all of these tools. We did get started in our breakout room a couple minutes late, so we won't be able to demo these because I do want you to have a few minutes to do some hands-on work. But one of the other, well, we've got 2 more AI tools. So one of them is Scribe, formerly Scribe How. So this is super, super helpful if you need to create a step-by-step guide and there are reoccurring questions that keep coming up. It will follow your mouse. And then it will give you like step-by-step instructions with screenshots, and then you can save that as a PDF document. Super helpful if you ever have to create manuals or procedures document, if you need to create training documents, onboarding new hires, any of that. Oh, thank you, Stefan. He's demoing that right as I am speaking. So Scribe How, super helpful. It could be interesting thinking about how you might use that through your administrative lens. But from the teaching standpoint and the roles that Kim, Stefan, and I do, it is a super powerful tool. The next one I wanted to briefly mention is PopAI. So it does a ton of things, as shown kind of on that image there, but it allows you to have interactive conversations with AI. It allows you to do more of a deep analysis with a PDF. So it can provide a comprehensive summary. It can provide a detailed outline. It can also do more of a deep dive for complex materials. So much that it can do in a very short period of time.
Great presentations for you.
Beautiful.
So there's a question in the chat about fees associated with these. Funding from that might be coming from the state. We know this is a big statewide emphasis, but as of yet, we don't really have that funding stream in place right now. And I would say most of these tools, try them out for free. And if you like the free version, then that will allow you to prioritize the ones that are most important to you. I just use the free version of Chat GPT. That's my #1 like tool that I use.
Awesome. This is so amazing. Thank you, Stefan. Okay, so now what we want to do is really wanted to carve out a few minutes for you to go in and actually look at some of these tools. If you can't go as deep as you'd like today, that is okay. You will have access to this Padlet. So what we want you to do is first take a deep breath, don't panic. Then Kim is going to drop a link to the Padlet in chat. And you're going to navigate to Breakout Room C. There's a column there, and that's going to have all of the links to the tech tools that we talked about today. And we had planned for you to be able to go in and actually explore those in more detail. However, I don't know that we will actually have time to do that. So please keep that link to Padlet. If you know how to bookmark it, that would be fantastic. We would love at the top of that column in Padlet, where it says, what AI tools are you most excited to begin using? If you could populate that with your response, that would be fantastic. And Stefan, I'm not sure if you want to show slide 11 or if you want to show the Padlet itself. And then we will just bring you back to these particular questions. So thinking about, your own process, how you structure your day, what takes up the most amount of your time, might influence which of those tech tools you prioritize and really want to dig into deeper. So again, if you will fill out the comment about which one you are most excited about using, that would be lovely. We can't wait to get in and actually review those responses. And I think that is all we have for today. Thank you so much for joining our breakout room. Stefan and Kim, is there anything you would like to share before we wrap up?
Nope, just don't panic. And if you have questions, reach out to anybody on the contact list for this PD.
Yeah, let me put this back up here for you.
Thank you, everyone. That was very informative. I appreciate that. And I'm excited to start experimenting with some additional things I haven't tried yet. Yay.
Yay.
Thanks so much, Mary. Any other questions before we leave our breakout room?
So when we get back, you will have a choice to choose a different breakout room, or, you can come back here and watch us do this again.
But this time upside down. We're going to do it
That's
on our
right.
heads. It's going to be great.
Absolutely. You bet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining, Kimberly.
Vanessa, thank you for keeping an eye on the time. I thought we had joined 10 minutes early. And so I'm looking at the time here going, oh, we got plenty of time. So I slowed down and went more in depth. I'm so glad you were monitoring that.
So
No.
should I keep the recording going?
This is breakout. Hopefully you are in the breakout room that you were desiring. Give us just 1 second and we will go ahead and get started.
He's here. Okay. We're going to ask Kevin, one of our co-keynoters there. Did you mean to quote the Beastie Boys?
No.
Oh. That's how we started our last session. I was like, I'm not sure if you were paying attention. He definitely quoted the Beastie Boys.
I love it. So what part was my Beastie Boys quote? Tell me, Stefan.
It's very small and quoting is a stretch, but you said, let's kick it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Now you got it. Yeah.
All right, welcome everyone. Breakout session C is going to focus on summarizing and streamlining communications using artificial intelligence. Today I have with me, pardon me, today I have with me 2 of my colleagues, and I will let them introduce themselves. But my name is Vanessa Allen. I am the EdTech and Computer Science Regional Coordinator for ESD 189. Our centralized location is in Anacortes, but we serve Whatcom County, Skagit County, Island County, San Juan County, and Snohomish County. I'm there in the center of this image. Kim, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Kim Weaver. I am the STEM and EdTech coordinator in ESD 114 out here on the Kitsap and Olympic Peninsulas. We are based in Bremerton, Washington.
Hi, and my name's Stefan Troutman. I am a Beastie Boys enthusiast and I am the ed tech specialist here in North Central ESD in 171. That's me right here. Grant, Okanagan, Douglas, and Chelan counties.
Great. Thanks so much, Stefan and Kim. So hopefully you made it into the right session. Today, we really want to focus on ways that you can leverage AI to help reduce some of that cognitive load in relation to communication tasks that take up a big part of almost all of our jobs. So do you need an assistant to summarize some of your meetings? There's an AI for that. Do you need help creating streamlined communications so that you don't have to reply to a ton of questions asking for more information or further clarification? We've got an AI for that. So today's session, we're going to focus on a few tech tools. Those are Chat GPT, PopAI, Scribe, Otter AI, Zoom AI Companion, and others. So if you were in that main session, you may have seen someone turn on Otter AI, sorry, tongue tied, Otter AI, and we'll actually show you what that looks like from the attendee side as that information gets populated further. So what I would like to do to kick off our time together is ask you to take a moment and just silently think about these 3 questions. So how is the majority of your day organized? Is it the type of tasks that you would like to be working on? What are the most time-consuming parts of those tasks? And are you already using AI in some of your tools, such as Outlook, Gmail, Microsoft Office, Google Suite, and so forth? All right, so spoiler alert, so many of the tech tools that we are using on a regular basis already have this built in. Whether or not you use it, or if you've enabled some of those features, they are there, and you can see it on things like where it's predictive text within your email. It's just one example. So think about these questions as we go through the presentation today. And as you're seeing things, jot down ideas, and we will come back to these questions at the end of our time together. So the communication tech tools that we are going to focus on for our time, again, is Chat GPT. Then we want to focus a little bit on AI meeting summarization. So there are 2 tools that we are going to specifically highlight. Then we're going to take a look at PopAI, which is a pretty robust tool, and Scribe, formerly Scribe How. So kicking it off with Chat GPT, this is the AI name that's probably most familiar for all of us. It became a huge topic back when it came out in November of 2022. It is super great at summarizing things. So if you have a block of text or a report, you're able to drop that into Chat GPT and have it come back and highlight some themes or maybe 5 or 6 bullet points. Other things that it is particularly good at is if you've already got a draft of an email, you want to change the audience in which the email is directed to, or if you want to get some improvements or suggestions on the tone of your email, ChatGPT is a great resource for you to be able to do that. So I'm going to hand it over to Stefan. He's going to demo ChatGPT quickly. But as he's going through that, feel free to put questions, thoughts, ideas in chat as we go along, and Kim and I will be monitoring.
Yeah, so we're just going to kind of bounce back and forth here, and Vanessa and Kim are going to keep me on time because I did not do a good job of that last session, but they did. So we're going to move through here pretty quickly and just show you a couple of things. But what I like to tell people when we're talking about AI, especially ChatGPT or any other large language model chatbot, is it's really at this point only limited by your imagination. And so that base level stuff that it can do can be super awesome. But the more we start to think about like, how can I use this? How can I think outside the box? Then the cooler and more effective it can be. And what I like to tell people, primarily teachers, garbage in, garbage out, right? Like if you put in stuff that's not so great or super vague, then we're not going to get super great stuff back. So we're going to hopefully showcase a couple of things here that are pretty quick and easy, but also be thinking, okay, so if this exact scenario doesn't work, how could I apply this in other formats? So Vanessa specifically mentioned summarizing. We are going to grab this. So it's still highlighted. That's nice from last session. This is an email that Chris Rakedahl sent out about a month ago, a couple weeks ago. It was hot off the press when we were planning here. And we are going to take this. I just copied all of the text. I'm going to start a new chat with Chat GPT. I'm going to use the free version here. That's 3.5. And then I'm going to paste it in here. And last time I asked it to summarize. This time we're going to call an audible and say, analyze the tone of this email from the OSPI superintendent. Let's see what it says. Gotta scroll down, it's long. From the email, so I'm not sure if you can read that or not. It's a little small. He's positive, informative, focused on highlighting achievements and initiatives in Washington. Oh, very nice. And then even gave some examples, some specific examples of where it got that. Now I could ask it to now summarize the original email I pasted in here. So the important thing to remember is I don't need to re-paste that email in there. This is iterative and conversational. And so we can keep attaching different things and keep layering on those different requests there. So that was kind of lengthy. There's a lot of stuff in there. I could ask it to give me different bullet points of some of the different things that he's talking about in there, but just that summarization piece is super helpful. And then let's do one more. We could rewrite this so I can send it out in an email to my school district staff, right? Or that was a bad prompt. Maybe write an email introducing this email so I can send it out to my staff because it's going to give me that information there, right? So thinking about just those things that take up your time and a lot of that, like, let's call it tedious brain power that you would rather be putting somewhere else. How can we start to automate some of those pieces in there? So that summarization piece can be super, super helpful. We asked about tone and ease of reading. Maybe you are responding to an email to a parent, a community member, a board member, and you want to get feedback on an email, asking this like, hey, analyze my tone here. What's a way I could rewrite this so it sounds more positive, so it sounds more forceful or assertive, right? Really asking it to analyze our writing and give feedback on that can be super, super helpful. A piece that all of these things we want to proceed with caution for sure, but definitely when we're talking about translation, the feedback I have gotten from this is that I am an only English speaker. I also taught 7th grade, so I'm fluent in sarcasm. But this supposedly, talking to my native language speaking colleagues, this to Spanish, does a very, very good job with certain languages. So we have a colleague who speaks Vietnamese, and she said it does not do very well with Vietnamese. And I have some colleagues who are native Spanish speakers, and they say it does a phenomenal job with Spanish. And so this is a nice place to start when we're talking about translation, because taking this and then giving it to a native speaker, because anybody who speaks those languages will tell you that it's about 50-50 art and science when it comes to translation. So that can be a very, very powerful piece in terms of that accessibility and translating our documents for our non-English speaking populations. And then just very, very quickly, because it's worth pointing out, this is all done with the free version. If you are looking to upgrade to that paid version right here, that's 4. One of the pieces that comes along with that is you can start to customize Chat GPT for you. So are there things that you're doing consistently? Like, are you constantly looking for feedback or help in crafting emails? You can train a GPT or just Chat GPT to give you specific feedback based off of your context. So it can definitely save you a ton of time the more time you spend in it. And let's move on from there, Vanessa. Let's talk about these tools.
Thanks so much, Stefan. I really appreciate you demoing those for us. Okay, so focusing on meeting summarization. So if we think about those repetitive tasks like writing emails, catching up on chat messages that come in, that sort of thing, those types of tasks can take up to 62% of our workday. So how can we use AI in a really intentional way to get back more time so that we're able to focus on those connections with our teams, with our building leaders, with our staff, so that we really are able to make those connections and build those relationships. So if we can take some of that cognitive load off and use AI, that is super important. So a couple of the tools that we wanted to specifically highlight are Zoom AI Companion, and the other one is Otter AI. So both of these tools are items that you can incorporate into a live meeting and help you to catch up. If you join late, They also can be enabled so that any participants who join the meeting late can get caught up on that. And then both Zoom and Otter AI do have ways in which it can summarize after the meeting, so that if you needed to kind of take what's there, customize that message, and send it out to a number of different audiences, those two tools can also do that. Very similar to Chat GPT in a lot of ways, but really specific to our online meeting spaces. I will hand it over to you, Stefan. And again, for those of you joining us, as he's demoing, if you have questions, please feel free to put those in chat.
So these next couple of features, we are going to go pretty quick just to leave some time for our last two, but we wanted to show you what they can do. So about an hour ago, give or take 2 hours ago, Vanessa and Kim started a meeting, and I joined about 10 minutes late so we could play with this feature. She turned on the AI companion in Zoom. When I joined 10 minutes late, I was prompted with a, hey, the AI companion is live. It's just a little box down there next to the chat. I clicked on it and it gave me some prompts of, here are some things you could ask it. The first one was catch me up. And this is what it gave me. And so it gave me a very brief summary of everything that had been talked to up until that point. When I read this out loud to Kim and Vanessa, Kim's jaw hit the floor. She's like, what? Because it did a pretty nice job. Again, not giving me all those details, just what I need to know. And then it gave me some other examples of things I could ask. I could have asked it anything I wanted and would have given me information based off of that Zoom meeting. But there were some other prompts, so I figured I'd check those out. So it gave me, and we'll put this link in the chat for you if you'd like to take a look at it. It gave me that summary. And then when I asked specifically about my name, it gave me these pieces here when they had actually mentioned me and talked about me. Any sort of action items that came up, because it wasn't going long enough, there wasn't actually a ton of action items on there. So it was nice that it told me that. And then it gave me a summary of those different topics that were discussed. There's nothing worse than someone coming in late to a meeting and saying, all right, what have we covered, right? Not saying it won't still happen, but it is a nice way to start to automate some of those pieces out there. And then the other example of AI in Zoom that we wanted to showcase was the AI companion summary. So again, you just turn on that AI companion during the Zoom meeting, and then almost instantaneously when the meeting is over, you'll get a transcript and a summary of what happened in that Zoom. So this is a meeting I had way back with a couple of people at my ESD where we talked about an online event where we're supporting instructional coaches in our region, and it breaks down what we talked about based off of these different pieces here. And it's really important to know this is not a replacement for attending the meeting, but it is really nice when you don't have the world's best memory and 2 weeks down the road, you go to pick up with that project and you're like, okay, what did we meet about? You can't relive the meeting. And I certainly don't want to watch a recording of that meeting. But if I've been there, this gives me a nice little snapshot and a new starting point and helps me really just increase and supercharge that workflow. And then the third tool, and someone was actually using it. I think I still have it open. Yep. So if you notice, and I think Vanessa mentioned this, right towards the beginning of our meeting, there was a little automated message in the chat that someone was using Otter AI. And I don't know if Vanessa and Kim looked at me, but I looked at them and I was like, we're going to talk about that in like 30 minutes. So it was very, very cool. I clicked on it. This is theirs. So I was going to demo it for you in like live here, and it does a nice job. It like captures what you're doing in real time. But this is literally the Otter AI that they had turned on for the portion of the meeting that it was working. And so it gives a live transcript of all of everything people are saying. And it gives a little screenshot here of the information of the slides that were being shared. I don't know if they turned it off after about 6.5 minutes, but it did stop at that point. They might've just been playing around with it. And when I clicked on it, I initially had access to it and could see it live updating, but then I needed to request access, and they were kind enough to give me access to this. And then what we found, and I think I'm still sharing my sound, accidentally last session, we found if you click on this.
So just to reboot, as an AESD network, this series of 3 statewide meetings is.
So if I click somewhere in this transcript, that's actually Jessica Vavras talking. It's grabbing the audio from that meeting and it's playing it back for me. And Kim actually, Kim, would you mind unmuting and giving your little blurb that you gave last session about accessibility?
Sure. So, when you start thinking about these tools, not just as a gee whiz, isn't that cool, but how is this going to solve a problem for me? If you do have this Otter AI transcript, it's highlighting the words. People can be following along on text. They can be hearing it if they want. You can see there's embedded screenshots of the slides that were shared so that you can follow along with the slides. Then you can consider putting the meeting summary into some of these translation services. And so it's not about, gee whiz, isn't this cool? Or maybe for some people, oh my gosh, isn't this terrifying? It is really about solving real problems and speeding up things that are taking way, way, way too much time. Have we had concerns about how this seems to violate Washington recording laws? So thanks, Emma, for that question. I'm not a lawyer and I don't play one on TV, but what I will say is that all of these recording tools, they do offer a notification, just like how Zoom says recording is in progress or things like that. I don't think people can opt out of being included on the meeting summary or the transcript. Again, I think we're at the frontier of this, and there's probably going to be more guidance coming from the state. I don't know if Vanessa or Stefan has something to add to that, but they don't play lawyers on TV either. So
no, just anecdotally, the first time I saw that summary, we're playing around with it with another colleague of mine, and I went running to my wife who works in the special education department at our ESD. I said, "Oh my gosh, look at this," because she's on the frontier of anything that I think cool, that poor woman. So I was like, wow, look at this. And because she's much smarter than I am, the first thing out of her mouth was, what about student confidentiality? Like if you were talking about sensitive student information in a Zoom meeting, is it going to capture that? Where does that go? Is it housed in a safe space? So Emma, what I would say is we don't have any good answers for you, but that is absolutely positively the correct question to be asking right now. Because as these tools, because what makes me so excited about that is you're looking at it with a critical eye. And the first thing we need to be thinking about is ethics and safety and security. And I do know that there are certain people that like in certain agencies that like I don't use the AI summary tool with, or the AI, because one, they're uncomfortable with it, or two, policy in their district or organization says not to. To me, it's the equivalent of like taking out a recording device and putting it on the table in the middle of a room during a meeting and not saying anything about it. Like I would never do that. So I just love the idea that just because we can doesn't always mean we should, and being critical about when and how we're using it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the great question, Emma, and Stefan and Kim, both for your thoughts and feedback on that. Okay, so just in the interest of time, I want to just quickly share two other AI tech tools that we think are super awesome and could be very relevant to the types of work that you guys do. So the first one is Scribe. You may have known it as Scribe How, but it creates instant step-by-step guides. So you can enable Scribe, and then it follows your mouse clicks. And then it will put it into a single document with step-by-step instructions and those screenshots in real time. Super fast, incredibly helpful. If you're ever someone who has to create procedure manuals, if you need to do training documents, if you have new hires that you're going to be onboarding, any of those types of things, this could be super valuable. If it doesn't directly relate to the work that you are doing in your roles, it could be helpful for others that are in your schools and districts. And Stefan has just demoed that while I was speaking. So thank you so much, Stefan. You saw how quickly that happened. I mean, it's lightning fast. Incredible. I can't tell you how many hours I've wasted over my professional career creating these step-by-step instructions, and also thinking about sometimes having to do that for multiple audiences, how much time that takes. So Scribe, super awesome tech tool with AI built into it. The other one that we wanted to also mention is PopAI. So we love PopAI because it has the ability to allow you to have interactive conversations in real time. You can ask questions, get instant feedback, and it's pretty accurate responses. Again, it's built on top of Chat GPT, so it uses a lot of that same features and functionality. We also love it because it does a more advanced analysis of PDFs. So, you know, if you need a summary, a detailed outline, or if you need it to go into a deep dive of really complex material, PopAI does a fantastic job of that. So here, as I'm speaking, again, Stefan is a rock star and he is showing how quickly that tool works. It also allows you to create real-time, well, presentations almost in real time. I mean, it's a matter of seconds for it to be able to do that, but there's tons of practical applications that you might be able to use this tool for. Anything I am leaving out, Stefan, that might be relevant?
No, you did a great job. That's that one that I just demoed there. This is the publication that Jessica Vevers talked about at the very, very beginning that came out from OSPI last week. So I just downloaded the PDF, click and drag, drop it in here. It gives me a summary and then it gives me some questions. But in a sense, I can just have a conversation with this chatbot about the content of this PDF. And the reason I show this one to people a lot, or versions of this, is because I used to tell teachers, don't ever put PDFs on your learning management system. It actively makes the reading experience worse. You can't interact with them. It's just like read offline instead. This turns that on its head. Like being able to have a conversation with an AI about the contents of a document before going and talking to other people about it. I use it all the time in my professional career when my bosses give us something very, very dense and I'm gonna have to talk to my colleagues about it. I always use a tool like this first.
Thank you. Okay, so we know that we've given you a ton of information, multiple tech tools in a very short amount of time. So first, don't panic. Next, Kim is going to drop a link to a Padlet. And really what we want is twofold. So one is going to be links to those tech tools that we highlighted today so that you can go and you can explore them in more detail after our session wraps up. The second part of that Padlet is at the very top. We are asking that you put in the name of the tech tool that you are most excited to learn more about, to go in, to explore, think about how it might be relevant to you. So we are Breakout Session C, so that third column. The resources that we provided are in black. And then where we're asking you to make comments is pinned at the very top where it says comments. So go ahead and if you have a moment, just put in the tech tool that you are most interested in exploring further based on its relevance to the work that you do. And then lastly, what I'm going to ask for you guys to do is to think back to those 3 questions that we started with at the very beginning of our session. How is the majority of your day organized? What tasks are most time consuming? And what tools, tech tools, can you use to make that more streamlined? So we hope that in seeing some of these tech tools, hearing about their functionality and seeing them work in real time, you can better see how they might meet the needs and reduce some of that cognitive load and give you time to get engaged in the activities and whatnot that matter most to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. I know we're right at time, but want to open it up to Stefan and Kim. Is there any last parting words that you'd like to share with the group?
Don't panic, try something and reach out to any of us for help and support. That's our job, is to help you navigate this as we're all kind of figuring out day by day how to navigate it as well. And then we're going to get take it back into the breakout, into the main session, but there is a link to a survey that we're going to ask you to fill out about your experiences in this session today. So I'm going to put that in the chat as well. And when we get back into the main session, there'll be a QR code and some other things. Stefan, Vanessa, anything I missed?
Wonderful. Thank you so much. While we're waiting to get pulled out of the breakout room, feel free to be working on that survey. You can also unmute, and if you have questions or comments while we're here together, please feel free to do so.
So Stefan,
Yeah.
can I show that in video?
Yes. You
It'll only
have.
take 2 seconds. If you let me share, it'll come up.
Oh, we should have those permissions.
I think I'm good. Yep.
All right, go ahead.
All I did was type a prompt. Please do a video on the benefits of balanced calendar. And this is what it came up with.
Well, let's dive in. A balanced school calendar is a reimagined approach to structuring the academic year, promoting continuous learning. This structure decreases learning loss that often occurs during long summer breaks. Moreover, it's been shown to improve academic performance.
Well, everybody in my breakout session said, I don't know, ask Pete Phillips.
Well, as people come back into the space, please do take a moment to complete the end of session survey. I'm sure you got the plug in your breakout room for doing it, but it is our tool that we'll use to synthesize your feedback. We'll obviously take your feedback from the Padlet spaces, but it really will inform our upcoming session, and just as we collaborate with our partners on thinking about the next continuum of resources available. So with that, is Travis, are you here? I know you were going to share a few additional resources as we close out.
I am here.
Great.
Thank you. I'm hoping my other screen is not sharing as well. So hopefully you're only seeing one screen at this moment. So
yeah, we just see the survey.
Perfect. Can we advance the slides here real quick for me, please? Thank you. And let's go one more, please. All right. So also available right now, I am, by the way, Travis Rush. I am the AESD EdTech lead. My role is to work with the ESD EdTech leads and deliver content statewide to make sure we deliver services to all students across the state in an even manner or in a most equitable manner possible. At the same time, we've been creating many AI resources for you. The 9 ESD leads have done a fabulous job. And on the screen in front of you right now is an AI resource guide for administrators. Jessica was going to drop the link there in the chat for us. This is a little resource guide we put together for you based on some of the information from this session and last session. A few of our sessions got cut off a little bit short during the timing. If you're in the middle of something engaged, I can speak to our own session we just had. Please feel free to email the person directly from your breakout room or myself, and I'll get that information to them, or anybody else from this session, to make sure we get your questions answered. It's really important that we don't leave you hanging right in the middle of a statement, especially. So also available in front of you is the OSPI release of the AI guidance. Again, that will be getting unpacked by everybody around the state, and especially by us as we move forward. A few of us here were members in helping with that editing and revising of that document, so we're very aware of it and content of it. And you'll be seeing many opportunities tied to that as we go forward, I would hope. And last but not least, there is a link on the right-hand side there for the ESDs and current available training attached to the AESD website. There is trainings from all over the state being offered by the fabulous ESD EdTech leads for opportunities to learn more about AI, AI in the classroom, AI as a teacher, AI with UDL and IPP, many opportunities for you to engage and earn clock hours or just training. So I encourage you to take a look at those those courses and those offerings and engage with the AI community of people learning as we all, in this process of learning as we all go. So take advantage of those resources.
Okay, thanks, Travis. And as we look forward, we have a couple of additional statewide opportunities on the horizon. One, many of you already probably have on your calendars as district leaders, OSPI's statewide webinar. We've been doing quarterly webinars for the last couple of years, and this one is actually pretty timely. So today's event was timely with Superintendent Rakedall's release of the guidance, and February 13th, I'm guessing that there will be some additional time spent. You all will have had time to consume it, and you'll have some likely questions and reflections that you'll probably bring to the table. So the link is there. We'll be getting you the login information. We'll get you all of these slides so you have all the links following this session as well. And then also May 20th, we'll get that in our follow-up to you, a link to register for the third session of this statewide series. And by that point, we AESD, along with our partner sister organizations, will likely have some new opportunities on the horizon as we start thinking about the summer and the fall in terms of your own professional learning as leaders, as well as supporting your educators on that journey. So with that journey, the ESDs, along with a few school districts, are partnering with OSPI and the National NCCE Association, our technology folks with NCCE, to on a train the trainers cohort. And so we'll have teams participating and engaging in content there, ready to begin delivering that out into the field this summer and into the school year. So that's something we'll be able to share more with you about in May, as well as we enter into the spring. So with that, the next slide, I think we followed up with this. All of you should know, certainly your ESD superintendent, how to get a hold of them. So don't feel like you have to write down all these names and contacts. But you'll get this. These are your brain trust in your regional ESD organization as to who to reach out to for support in the AI space in the meantime. And if they don't know the answers or the resources, they have an amazing team of networked folks that they can reach out to. So their contact info is here. And then finally, just want to thank all of you again. Remember, please do complete the survey. The QR code is on the next slide, but also just really appreciate all of you for hanging in there with us on today's event. We will have all the sessions recorded. We'll get those into our YouTube playlist and out to you to share with your cadres and your leaders that couldn't make it today. So with that, I will close us down and just again appreciate the team that planned everything and all of you for leading through this exciting time of change for our world, I guess. It's bigger than education. So really thanks to all of you for being here, and see you next time. Take good care.
Jessica, you're muted.
Yeah, I was reflecting on how to stop recording, but I don't know how to do it. Someone who has the power can, I think.
Whoever started the recording gets to stop the recording.
Okay.